Hi. Yeah. Monday morning. Yawn. Tom,
Hola, ¿cómo
we're
está?
live. We're live. What is going on?
Good morning, everybody in the chat. So, what are you fed up about, or you need to wait till other people get in here before you can start your rant?
It's gonna be a rant. Yep. I'm ranting today. Yeah. Yeah. We'll wait until a few get in. Then I got a question or two. A good Todd rant. It may be much ado about nothing, but we'll see what y'all think.
Oh, this has got to be good.
Do, do, do. Uh-oh, 24K's here. Look out, Bumcrack Picker's here. Danger Cindy is here. Lag. James W. A rant or just get off my porch?
Good morning, Craig.
What do
Stephen.
we think? Haven't asked the question yet, Craig. You can't answer a question that hasn't been asked. Well, I guess you can, but you would probably be wrong. Cyber. Man.
Todd, do you ever see any of the people that you used to teach, teach with? Not teach, but teach with.
Um, Oh, about once every 4 years, I travel down to the Texas State Music Directors Convention as a
An alumni?
retiree from the, yeah, just touch base and rub elbows. Problem is, I've been retired 13 years, something like that. So everybody looks young.
Do you?
The
So, what
vast,
did you do? Did you retire as soon as you qualified for the pension?
not too long afterward, yeah. They got a series of hoops and jump ropes to get through to get to full retirement.
Right.
All right, you ready? What time is it? Give it a few more minutes. You went ahead and even if look at that, Craig gave us a thumbs up even though you're on here.
Yeah, I saw that. He's such a butt.
He's a butt. Craig the butt.
Lord have.
Uh, what's the minimum age for Social Security?
62 and a half, 62. I mean,
62.5.
if you have like a disability or something like that, you can draw it earlier, I think. But
Oh yeah, yeah.
I really don't know.
24K. Tom's got the show tomorrow. So,
I was about to ask if he's doing
well,
a show.
the other guys. He's talking about the other guys.
Uh,
We got a separate crew of guys. What's SSDI? Social Security Depositors Insurance? So,
Come on,
Secret
Anissa, lay it on us. You know it's gonna
Secret
be so smart ass.
Service Detective Instigators? I don't know. What is SSDI? Lag's gonna qualify for Social Security in 48 years.
You better make some money because there won't be a Social Security in 48 years.
Manhattan. Cool. You're coming to America? Didn't Eddie Murphy make a movie Coming to America?
Yeah. And there was a singer that had Coming to America. That was my singing. I try not to do it because I can't carry a tune even if I had a dump truck to do it with.
Lunch will be served by the Manhattan District Attorney. You mean you're being arrested in New York City? Social Security Disability Insurance. Okay. Steven! Yeah.
Let's see. He banned my country from traveling to America, and I was not able to visit my mother or friends. I think that's a good reason, or TMS. Now, is your mother is an American? Isn't his mother an American?
Yeah, I believe, or maybe she carries dual citizenship, but I think she switched to American. He can tell you, of course.
His mother is an American, and you didn't get dual citizenship. That was dumb.
That was dumb. Way to go, Tom. Insult our visitors here.
Our rich visitors. uh, all it cost you was $700 for a daggum passport.
He was gonna become a citizen of the United Kingdom.
They're just the U.S. light.
All right, you ready for the question?
What are you fed up with, Todd, today?
I'm fed up with the Fed. You know the Fed?
Yeah.
They're starting a program called Fed Now. You may have already heard of it.
No.
Federal Reserve. Fed Now, instant payments. This is where the Federal Reserve of the United States takes over all of your banking, basically. Fed Now, you can join right now. It kind of looks like, almost looks like PayPal or a payment service.
Yeah. I'll take my chances with the banks.
Well, This thing could put banks out of business. Why would you need a bank if the Federal Reserve is going to trade your money for you?
I don't trust them.
Well,
I trust them less than I do the banks.
I gotcha. I'm the same way. All right. There's one answer. Okay. Imagine a world where every transaction you ever make can be tracked.
Well, that's coming.
Yeah.
And if the Fed now doesn't like the transaction you're making, they'll just deny it,
Yep.
either
Or they'll
receiving
reroute
or
it to
sending.
where they think it's appropriate.
There would be nothing to stop them from doing that.
Exactly.
Imagine a world where you can't roll up to a garage sale, give the person $3 for that pair of pants. You have to use your FedNow card. And so the federal government sees every transaction that you make.
Yep. It's coming.
And this is a nationwide thing. So if you're a business and you don't sign up for this, you stand to lose a vast majority of your customers. Right?
Yep.
Think about it. Hospitals, restaurants, eBay, Amazon. If Amazon doesn't jump in this, then they're going to lose all their customers. So businesses will be forced to adopt this, and pretty darn right off the bat.
So it's $25 a month to participate, and points. It's basically 5 cents per transfer.
Roberta said it's $25 a month to
Participate.
participate.
And 5 cents a transfer.
5 cents a transaction.
Yeah, and those fees will be passed on to customers. Just like a credit card, if you use your credit card at a business, the business could charge 3%.
Right.
So the business passes it on by increasing the amount they charge for a good or service, and or they just add it to the bill. We got some businesses in our little town here that add 3% to your bill if you use credit card or a debit card.
Yeah. A lot of gas stations, if you use a credit card, they charge you 2 cents, like 2 cents a gallon more.
So here we go.
It's the galactic credit.
And if the Fed does this, and the dollar being the dominant currency of the world, wouldn't that force every other bank in the world to accept it and come up with their own system almost exactly like it? And pretty soon, every global transaction will be tracked, or it could be tracked.
Yep.
And then the next step would be just digital currency.
Yep, that's exactly right.
No more currency at all.
You're easing people into
Well, people are already using debit cards left and right. You know, they how many people actually have that's listening actually have cash in their pocket?
Well, I can't speak for everybody else, but I do.
I don't, because I don't have pants on.
Hey, 24K.
All right, Pops. I just dropped in to
Pops.
just add some points to what you were talking about.
I mean, this is just one big step toward the digital currency.
I don't think it's really one big step towards a digital currency. That's one of the reasons why I came in here. I think we have to
Okay.
look at this from a international markets. You have an issue with the U.S. dollar. You've been printing so much money over the
Yeah.
last 40 or 50 years, ever since they took off the gold standard. Well, the only
Right.
thing that was propping that was oil. Everyone had to buy oil in dollars,
That's
right?
right.
Now, the big issue is the US went ahead and put sanctions on Venezuela, which at the time was the largest exporter of oil in the world. And then we went ahead and then you put sanctions on Iran, which is the third largest exporter. And then we went ahead and we destroyed the Iraqi oil. And no one's now getting that, and it's being snuck around and stuff like that. The Syrian oil. The same thing happened in Libya. So what's really happening is that the dollar has started to lose its prestige, but it still has its power until recently, where the Saudis, the Iranians just signed a peace agreement in China. They both announced that they're willing to sell China. China is the biggest importer of oil in the world. And one of the things that we've always had control over was how much oil China gets. If China was able to fulfill all its needs for energy, that country's economy would blow up. The only thing that's holding it back is we're literally, feeding it very small amounts of the oil that it needs. But now that door has been completely open. They have an agreement now to buy oil, whether it's going to be in yuan. The Indians now have an agreement to buy from with money that's not in the dollar's interest. So you have these issues. That starts a runoff on dollars. The banks start to collapse. And now that's had even an effect on the European banks. You see the second largest bank in Switzerland just crashed 2 days ago. I mean, they were literally
Yep.
about to crash.
Credit Suisse.
And
Credit Suisse.
yeah, and then UBS was forced to come in and buy it. Well, what did they buy it for? They paid 22 cents a share. There's people that invested in that company when the price was at 18 and 20. I mean, there's governments, there's investment funds from Norway, from Saudi Arabia, from so many different countries, pension funds that had invested in this bank. And they've completely now seen all of that money completely wiped out. They're wiping out bonds in the same Swiss bank. So now you're going to be scared of, where do I put my money? Do I put it in bonds? No, because that's obviously they've just wiped them out. Can I keep them in the bank? Well, no. You just saw what happened in Cyprus and how they closed off all the banking sector. We don't need to go back to World War II and talk about how, the mark collapsed overnight. The real danger today is what's going to happen with the dollar moving forward. And if the US doesn't stop printing money and actually start collecting money and burning all this excess money, we're going to have a real disaster on our hands. Look at the price of gold. It's at 2,000. What's the price of silver, Pops? $22? How's that possible?
$22.50. It went.
How's that possible? If gold's
up
at 2,000, silver should be at 30 or 35 minimum.
I don't know how that's possible, other than perhaps
It's
silver
manipulation
is
of the
seen
markets in order to get more money out of you.
as a commodity, maybe.
No, it's now who's going to be selling gold at that high price? It's these banks that don't have liquidity, so they need to sell what they have left, which is gold. So let's hike up the price of gold and get the people to start investing in it, because all they see now is banks are crashing, so they have no idea where to put their money.
Right.
Do I put it in real estate? I can't, because the mortgage and the interest rate is so high. So what options are they leaving you? Bitcoin?
Bitcoin.
It's a disaster.
All Bitcoin and Ethereum and all those are going to be in direct competition with the Fed Now program. Yeah, that's going to drive down the value of Bitcoin.
Well, how many billions of dollars were lost so far in the cyber markets, cryptocurrencies, with the failure of the several cryptocurrencies that's gone out of business already?
Anywhere from 100 to 200 billion dollars
Yeah,
wiped completely.
yeah. They had nothing.
But they,
there was
they,
nothing. At least with the U.S. dollar, you sort of have the working people of America backing the dollar. But with that stuff, you don't have. There's nothing backing it. It's not insured by the FDIC. It's not insured by any government agency around the world. It's just there. That would be like, you, Todd, send me $100 million and you might get it. You might get it back to spend. You might make a little money off of it, or you could lose it all. Because, you know, go ahead.
What I'm trying to say here is that, you know, it's exactly the point that you were just making, that, you know, the interest rate, I mean, the interest rates that are happening within these banks, the problem that you're going to have, Tom, is your dollar is going to become worth. So the FDIC guarantees, does it guarantee your full bank account? No, it guarantees up to a certain limit, 20,000, 50,000, 100,000, depending what the account is, right?
250,000 per person.
250,000. Okay, perfect. The problem is they're the ones that are creating these problems. They're the ones that are wiping billions of dollars off the books. So they don't have a problem with going ahead and printing money, another 250, giving it to you because it's worthless. It's going to become like Zimbabwe, where $1 million is equal to what you're going to get.
Yeah.
You're going to get to a point where inflation is just going to be so high. So what are we buying?
You know, it's they were talking about the 250,000 guaranteed by the government for Silicon Valley depositors. There was a lot of people in there that had millions of dollars in that bank, and they're not sure how fast. You know, the people that had less than 250,000, how soon they're going to be able to get their money. Because,
well,
you know,
from what my understanding was, at the beginning they announced that they were only going to cover the 250,000, and that was supposed to be paid out by last Monday. But I think they've recently made an announcement where they're guaranteeing all the money.
Yeah, they're guaranteeing all of it.
All of it.
In the American banks.
Yeah, they're guaranteeing everything, and now the Swiss banks are guaranteeing everything. How are you guaranteeing it? You're printing more money. That's going to cause higher inflation. That means your eggs are going to go up to $10 and $12, and don't wonder why.
Yep. It's going to be too big to fail all over again. It just happened.
And Tom, the other thing is, and this is something that they always tell you, money makes money. I can't let the rich people go broke. We need them to make money. At least this is the concept that we were taught. Right?
Yeah.
This is basic economics. It's, you know, the money comes, it trickle down economics. No, you're robbing the poor. You've destroyed the middle class. What dream are we talking about?
Yep. So
It's
and
the Fed just needs. They can't manage what we've got. They need to not be in the banking industry.
The Fed is a private company.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
The Fed is there to make money. It's making money. The more you get into debt, the more money they have to print, the more they make. Why would I stop? It's a business. Adam said that 200 years ago, or 150 years ago, he warned of this.
yep, everything you've said is correct.
That's the frustration, is when you go to America and you hear about the American, and then you live it. And I mean, I grew up there as a kid, and I loved it, and I loved everything about it, and democracy and equality and all these things, and it was there in the 80s. But something happened where now it's you know, everyone's just looking for themselves. I can't look at my neighbor or help him. I can barely help myself.
So what's going to happen to the, say, 15% of Texas residents who are illegal and therefore cannot accept FedNow payments when there's nothing to pay them with but FedNow?
They'll make a way. They'll get there.
They'll make a way around it, just like people that's not supposed to have driver's license, they have driver's license.
Yep.
The only thing left would be direct barter, I guess. I don't know.
They'll be able to.
Well, it's going to be, you know, something Roberta and I were talking about earlier today is you might have a vault full of gold, but like we, you know, a year ago, you couldn't find pinto beans at that grocery store.
Okay.
You know, are you going to eat that gold, or are you just going to
Yes.
you buy a can of pinto beans for 500 gold and
Okay. Tom,
hope
what
it recovers?
history teaches us one thing about gold and crises when it comes to money. Yeah. During a crisis, so during like World War II, if you were in Germany and you had gold, you were screwed, because at the end of the day, I would pay all my gold just to get a piece of chicken to eat, right?
Mm-hmm.
Gold will never get you out of that. Gold isn't supposed to be spent at that situation. You're
Right.
supposed to sit. It's right after the crisis is over. Once the crisis is over and people start to buy things again, guess what? You have a huge amount of gold that you can go out and start buying huge properties and stuff. Gold is, during times of crisis, gold is just there to save your, keep you alive.
Right.
If I need to trade an ounce of gold for a cow, I'm trading it because I'm eating, right?
Right.
So it gives me something that I'm able to barter with. So yes, I could, but
that's
you're
what
not supposed to be spending it during the crisis. It's after the crisis that it builds your wealth.
Right.
Right.
So gold is never an investment. I've never said gold was an investment. Gold is a holder of your wealth. If I wanted to save $10,000 today, I put it in gold. In 10 years' time, I don't care what the value of money, whether it's gone up or not. That same 10,000, whatever it would have bought me today, would buy me in 10 years' time. Whereas if I had saved it in money, it'd be almost worthless. That's all I'm saying.
Right.
So it's not, no one thinks that gold is there for, no, it's not an investment. The gold doesn't do anything. It's a
but
holder of your wealth. It
People have
holds your
value.
wealth.
They have a mindset that gold is worth a lot of money, and like I said, you're going to pay $100 in gold for a can of pinto beans when there's none to be had, or are you going to start buying it now? So
Yeah.
where should you be? Where you got to kind of do a preemptive strike on this kind of stuff to think ahead, just not about the money part of it, but how are you going to survive?
Basically, you do what the birds do. You learn from the animals. They seem to be doing it right.
Yeah.
What happens when it gets cold? They flock to where it's warm, right?
Yeah.
Okay. When I graduated from the University of London, I had an American professor there, an amazing guy named Tony Butcher. And I remember this because I was telling him, I'm thinking of going back to the States and, working with my family's businesses that are there and stuff. And he said, today, if you don't have a presence in Dubai, Mumbai, Shanghai, you can kiss all that wealth bye-bye. So I'm not saying that, but those are the emerging markets that are coming up now. You have India, that is one of the poorest countries in the world, but a population of 1.4, 1.5 billion people. That's a market. If you can get those people, if you can raise them to a middle class, just imagine how much they'd be able to buy and their capacity to buy. Basically, it's time to start teaching our children Chinese. Ni hao.
Yeah, but Chinese have got their own problems. They've got a population problem that they're dealing with. People are not having kids. The whole Pacific.
Oh yeah.
The whole
They're gonna have
is having a huge population problem because people are not having kids. They want all the branded merchandise. They're wanting the fancy life, so they work all the time, and they're not thinking about families. And Japan really is having a huge problem because their population is gradually slowly dropping each year. They have less population. Correct. Or they're getting the hell out and going someplace else.
Yes, and Europe is the same issue. Europe is facing the same migration problem right now with they're having the population is all over the age of 60. I don't know if you guys know this, but you could get a house in Italy for a dollar in certain towns because there's no one that's living there anymore, and they only have senior citizens there, and they need people to come in and so that they can generate money off the taxes to pay for the hospitals and the clinics and the schools that are there.
Right.
So they're offering, there's crazy offers. I mean, just like it was in the US in the past where you could invest to come to the, that's what all the European countries are doing now. If you buy a house in Spain, you get citizenship. If you buy a house in Portugal, you can get citizenship. If you buy a house, you can buy citizenship in Greece. You can buy citizenship in Malta. You could buy, the Caribbean, St. Kitts, all these places.
It's, it's a tough situation. One of the things they've been talking about locally is the real estate market. They jacked all these prices up on these houses during the, coming out of the pandemic. Good morning, anytime. And people bought houses. Now they're upside down with these houses because prices of real estate's coming down. And there's a glut of market around here. So people are saying that you save as much money as you can because probably next year you'll be able to get a good deal on a house because nobody's buying houses and there's all this inventory out there that they can't sell.
So let me ask this.
Sure. It's your show.
Don't you think that eventually, probably pretty soon, the rollout is in July, I think, for this Fed now. Don't you think that everyone in the U.S. is going to be forced into this? There won't be any other choice.
What are they going to do with all the shares of stock that's owned by these banks if they put banks out?
Well,
they wipe them out. That's what they just did to Credit Suisse. They wiped them out. They called them zero.
It doesn't replace the bank.
They will still have those shares, but if you want to sell or buy any shares, you're going to have to go through the Fed now.
Yeah, you like.
Well, Roberta said that Fed now is what because she was reading up on it, is like Venmo.
What's the instant pay?
You'd go through a bank, but they're kind of like managing the transactions for Fed now or whatever.
Do we really want the federal government to know what we spend our money on?
Nope.
But they already do.
To a certain degree.
There isn't $1 that you spend that they don't know what you spend it on.
Nope, that's not true.
No, I can go to a garage sale, hand them $5 bill, and we're done.
Okay. At the same time, if they really wanted to know what you were doing, they would use your phone to locate the location that you're at. They would do locations of other people that you're around. They can turn on your mic and find out what it is that you're doing. They can turn on your. I mean, if they really wanted to get you, they'll get you.
Yeah.
That's all I'm saying.
There.
Yeah, but for the most part, those kind of cash transactions that goes untraced.
But they've minimized those, right? You could only spend now up to $9,000 or something dollars, and then after that, it has to be declared, and you have to show ID, and you have to do this, and you have to. Same thing's happening now when I'm selling, luxury. Before, no one was asking for it. Now I have to anything over 9,000. I have to fill out a form. I have to get their ID. I have to get.
Yeah, it's unless they've changed it, was 4,500.
Okay, for us as an international person into the States, it's 10,000.
Okay. I just had an old man moment. My thought just went flying right out of my head.
James, they take Google Pay, and they'll take iPhone Pay, and they'll take Android Pay. What are you talking about? You ain't got to worry.
No, I know what I was going to say. I was talking to our branch manager about, cash transactions and stuff like that. And she says, we don't want people to spend money in cash because, the last time we had this situation, people were going in and they were getting thousands of dollars out and that's what they were spending. She said, we don't want people to use cash because not for privacy issues, but because it for the banks it means a lot more work. You know, they've got to have extra people to count all this money. They don't keep a lot of cash on hand. That's the reason if you go in, if you need 5,000 in cash, it'll probably take them a day to get it.
Look, my AD here, my Rolex authorized dealer here for the last 2 years, changed the rules because I guess there's a new law now. But we're not allowed to buy any Rolexes anymore in cash. You cannot buy it in cash. You either do a bank wire or you do credit card. You are not allowed to do cash. Where before, that's how we usually would buy jewelry and what. You're not going to go buy, you don't write check. You just take the money and you pay for it. You're done.
Right.
But now they're forcing you. And before, the dealer wouldn't take a credit card because he has to pay them 2.5% or 5%, depending on what type of credit card.
Right.
And when you're buying something at 100,000, it makes a big difference to him. But now, no, he's like, yo, I can't take cash and I won't charge you the extra fees on the credit card, but I can only take credit card or transfer or money transfer.
Who's doing that?
The Rolex dealer.
Oh,
Well, I don't have that problem.
well, I mean,
but
how long is it going to be, do you think, until if you're not using FedNow, you can't go to the grocery store and buy a dozen eggs?
Look, it's going to be very soon because in the same way that they did this with Corona, where we couldn't travel until we had, the vaccinations, and you couldn't go out until you were vaccinated. It's going to become the same way. I mean, we have an application on our phone now that says whether you've been vaccinated, if you don't have any traffic violations, whether everything is now computerized. When you get to the airport, they'll know whether you. So it's just going to get to the point. The other issue is, I don't know if you guys have noticed this, but here it's pretty how quickly we've become a cashless society. Sometimes when you're out and you want to give, someone comes and asks you for help, you can't even help anyone. You don't have cash.
yeah.
What are you going to give them? A credit card?
Well, the Girl Scouts, when they have their cookies, selling cookies, I don't have any cash. This sweet little girl that's 7 years old says, we take debit cards, and her mom pulls out a daggum cell phone with a card swiper on it. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Glock, that's not the way that it usually works in Manhattan and 47th Street. Usually there you go in, you pick it up, it's on consignment, and then you just wire them the money. It's built on relationships.
I mean, this is way out on a different situation, but it's the same thing on a smaller scale. You go on a cruise ship, you don't use cash. You can't use cash. You have to swipe your guest card, and then they charge your account for it. They don't want you they don't want to have to deal with cash.
Well, think about it. Cash is going to require accounting, someone to count it, machines to count it, security to take it, delivery to the bank. You can have the risk of being robbed. You can have so many things. And then you could also have issues with taxes. Well, with everything is online, boom, here it goes. Bank will print it out for you. You don't even need to hire someone to do your IRS, your taxes. It's all printed. It's all digital. Here you go. There's no longer many coins in your pocket that's holding you down. You can pay for a toll. You could pay for anything. I mean, before they used to say you had a minimum of $10 or $15 before you could use. Now they take it for 50 cents.
Yep. So how much of the
Black, those TikTok traders, I'd stick away from them. Those guys are money launderers. Be careful.
Yeah, Glock. I got a Black Diamond Disney movie I'll sell you for $50,000. I'll give you a bargain. You can flip it for 50 and make about 20 grand. I'll let you have it.
Glock. I wouldn't buy anything from Roman. I wouldn't even sell him a watch. He actually made me a good offer on one watch, but I just didn't want to sell it to him.
Yeah, Mr. Sadie, you're right. But you're under the impression that you have some cash in the bank, so your debit card is supposed to be good.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I just, the crypto, maybe I'm just being naive.
Sadie, how I don't understand your comment.
I don't think there's anything backing it. And when you have zero, I mean, there's nothing behind it. It was like all the e-businesses during the early 90s, mid 90s, that were, people were buying all these shares in a company that was being appraised at $100 a share, and then all of a sudden they went bankrupt and they had nothing, no assets to even come close to giving
Wait,
people their money back.
wait. Can I take a screenshot right here
Sure.
where it says Todd is right?
You gonna send that to Gwen?
Anyway,
Mr.
sorry.
Sadie, the difference between your crypto wallet and my debit card is my debit card is backed by my cash.
Yeah.
Your crypto wallet is backed by who? I don't know who.
Somebody's saying, like I said a while ago, Todd sent me
I don't know who you're
$150.
backing it. The other issue, Sadie, is with your crypto wallet is I don't have a problem with you holding crypto. I mean, that's up to you. But if you have to go to an ATM machine and they charge you 20% of the money that you're going to take out, really? And why is it that the only crypto machines are all in not bars, what do they call it? Those shops that sell alcohol with all the bars around them and stuff?
Right.
Come on. There's who's the biggest investor in crypto? Ready? Venezuela, Iran, North Korea. Guess why?
Because they get all the dollars.
No, because they can't use the world banking system because they've got sanctions on them. Okay? Who made crypto what it is today? Drug dealers. They were able to launder their money and they don't care how much they lose because they're already losing 50 to 70% if they're laundering it through the normal banks.
Well, see, that's been an issue in our Congress. Was there's been a group of people and on both sides of the aisle
Now,
that is talking about all this money being passed through the cryptocurrencies, and there's no tracking it, and how much of it's drug money and sex money and all of this other kind of crap, and we have no way to track it and to see where this money's coming from. And it's just, it's bullshit. If we're going to allow cryptocurrencies that anybody can participate in because we don't control it, why do we have sanctions on like these countries using American money or any of that? Because they're still getting American money.
Yep. Sadie's saying your cash is virtual as my crypto unless it's in your hand. Sadie, I was going to make this announcement later, but since you've raised it, we're actually launching a new coin called Lag Coin.
Lag coin.
You pay $10,000, you get one coin, and then if you get 10 other people to also invest, we give you 100,000.
Yeah.
And all those people that do the same will get the same.
That doesn't sound anything like a pyramid scheme.
Yeah,
Nothing. No, this is Lag Coin. We're doing crypto now, Bob. Stop. It's got a new name now. It's with 2023. Don't take us back to the 18th century.
So.
And the best thing about Lag Coin is if you flip the coin, it's Gal Coin.
It's getting cool. Yeah.
Oh, I never thought about his name backwards. That's
Gal Coin.
Gal Coin.
Oh, Glock, that's exactly what they do, but they're not going to call it new cash or a new currency. What they're gonna at one point, that's what everybody does. Look, guys, I don't know why you're asking these questions. History repeats itself. I swear to you, it does. If you go back to before Christ until now, you can look at every great empire, the Roman Empire, the Byzantine Empire, the Ottomans, the British. What happened to all their money? Gone. They created a whole new money. The British used to call it shillings. Now it's the pound. Okay? Every single currency comes to an end at one point. It has to. And if I'm wrong, name me one that hasn't, other than gold and silver. Name me one currency that's existed throughout history. One, just one. Name me one.
Just barter. I mean, you could
Bartering is
consider
exact, but that's what's exactly happening now, isn't it? Don't you guys find yourselves more and more doing barter deals and cash deals in some ways? Isn't
Yep.
bartering in a way coming back now?
It just about has to.
Go look at Argentina, Venezuela. Look at all these. They're bartering. Zimbabwe, they're bartering. People are going back to gold and silver and all these old stuff, not because it's good or it's bad or it's because what other option do you have? What am I going to leave my kids? What are we leaving our kids? Debt?
You could leave them these with 1 trillion stamped on them instead of just one.
There you go.
Well, I was watching this video, and it was talking this guy who's a finance person. He's like, it's being a millionaire is nothing nowadays. That to be what used to be considered wealthy as a millionaire, you got to have $100 million.
Yes, correct.
Because it doesn't take much to accumulate $1 million now. I mean, he said like the average.
No, you could spend $1 million in less than 5 minutes. I could spend $1 million right now buying 2-3 watches. I'd be done. 2 cars, you're set.
But he's talking about accumulating assets, and it's like, which these watches are assets. But I'm talking about like the average person. They go out and they buy a house, and they have 401k, and that type of thing. But because of inflation, that $1 million is not worth that much money anymore. I mean, it's still worth a lot, but in the scope of time and everything, the Rockefeller, I mean the Vanderbilts built, houses in Rhode Island or wherever, all the cottages that were like $100,000, but today's money it would be like $100 million.
Tom, can I ask you a question?
Sure.
What's more important for your life, to live a good life? A doctor or a football player?
A doctor.
A teacher or a football player?
A teacher.
Then why do football players get 100 million and 50 million and 80 million, 90 million, and yet we pay teachers 10,000 and 15?
Because people are stupid and they put their entertainment value on more than the worth on entertainment value, more on stuff that's applicable to their life, their livelihood. Because those people don't give a squat. Most of them were broke by the time they finish their careers.
Yes. Yeah.
Because they have to have the 12 Porsches and the big house or the big condo.
Yes. You know something? I went to a private school in the UK. It was a boarding school.
Mm-hmm.
They would refuse, and I mean, this is in England, so has nothing to do with me. But they would refuse you entry on the basis of not how wealthy you are, but is it generational or not?
Right.
So if your great grandfather was wealthy, you would be allowed, even if you were poor at this time, you would still be allowed to go into the school. But if it was your father who made the money, they wouldn't allow you. Because they say it takes time, it takes generations for the wealth. Look, from my point of view, from my people coming, from Asia and stuff like that, the way that historically wealth is passed on it's literally through generations. If you're poor, your job wasn't to say, I'm going to become a millionaire. No, it was, I'm going to make it so that I can save $500, let's say. And what you would do is you would get $500 worth of jewelry for your wife, and you'd let her wear it and enjoy it for her. And then when she passed away, she would give that to her kids, right? And then that would accumulate over time to where either the kid or the grandkid would be able to buy a house. Yeah. And when we buy a house, we don't buy a house just for one of us. We buy a piece of land, and then everybody starts building on it. It starts as one floor, and then 2, then 3, then 4, and then you can't build anymore on top because it's already the leaning Pisa. So they build outside, and they build intern, and they build. And it was always taught to us, because you'd always say, why do I need to take care of all these people? I should just be taking care of myself and my immediate family. My father used to always teach us, you're only as strong as the poorest person that's around you. And the reason for that is he always used to teach us, you have to make the people around you wealthy. Because if you ever needed some money from them or needed help, they would be able to help you. But if your family and all those that are closest to you are poor and you're the only one that's rich, well, guess what happens when you become rich or poor and you need help? They can't help you. Right? So for us, wealth was never seen as I'm wealthy. I could never go up to my father and say, hey, listen, I'm a millionaire now. He'd look at me and start laughing and say, how many of the tribe are you feeding? How many families are you taking care of? Wealth to us means that you're able to take care of more and more, so that the tribe, for us, it's a family thing. It's my first, when we moved to the US, guys, we didn't move, me and my mom and my dad and my two brothers and sisters. We moved 75 people. Every one of his brothers, his sisters, their kids, we all moved, took over a neighborhood. The school used to send us our own bus to take us to school.
I would say
it was always about family and unity and making sure that we're all, and they used to always tell us, take a stick and you can break it, but if you take 10 sticks, it's hard to break. So for us, it's always making sure that my cousin is able to help, he's doing well, make sure he's got a right job, helping him in any way that I can. So it's always like that. I don't know. It's just different.
Yeah, culture makes a big difference, because you know what? I don't want to move nowhere with my family. I mean, not other than my wife and my children. My brothers and their family are all doing their own thing. Roberta's sister and her family's doing their own thing. It would be just like, it'd be world
but
free.
Tom, think about it. Think of it this way. Imagine if all you and your brothers and sisters lived in the same neighborhood, and one of you goes shopping for the food. You don't need all of you. One of you can go make a deal with, Walmart or whoever it is. We're going to be buying in bulk for 10 houses. I need medicine for 10 people. I need that. You start, it's almost like a corporation. You get corporate rates. When we go to a hotel, they give us cheap discounts because we're not taking a room, we're taking a floor. So things become, less expensive. The more money you have, the less money you spend. Because also a lot of these hotels and airlines, they give you free stuff all the time just so that you can be seen on their plane, or, the investment in the long term, because he knows that you can afford it. It's just funny.
And so let's don't talk about Hunter. Lord, with all that's going on in the world right now, all that's going on in the United States right now, and they're spending all these resources on coming up with this Fed Now thing. Okay, whatever. Everybody thinks it's the government, but we need to be redirecting assets of time and effort to other things. People are, I take a med that if I didn't have insurance, which cost me nothing, it's like $1,600 a month. What the hell is up with that? And it's not like I would if I would die if I didn't have it. But Roberta, she takes stuff that's very good chance that she could have complications because we can't find the meds or we couldn't afford the meds. I really don't give a shit about the people and their money when it comes down to it. There's a lot of people that make a lot of money, and all they do is piss it away. And too bad, so sad. There's making sure we have the money to pay for her insurance. Her insurance, but the meds that she has to have, and Scott's wife Joni's on the same thing. She's got to have stuff too. She's got meds she's got to have, and that's where the emphasis needs to be put on stuff like that, instead of trying to redirect currency to a fake currency. And
Glock, you're wrong. Glock says that with all due respect, your family culture was developed over thousands of years, doesn't exist in Western culture. I disagree because I've been to I've been to southern states where southern hospitality, the family culture is there. You've got the uncles, the cousins. They make fun of them. Look, Appalachians, they make all the cousins making love to each other. No, it's just in the big cities where you might
That's
find where the family is broken down. But in rural America, the family's quite there. It's still there. At least that's what I saw.
But the people that I know are from like Indian culture and the Europe, the Pacific Basin culture. They're very family.
Yes,
You
yes.
know, I had a roommate. I had a neighbor who was Indian, and when her husband took a job over here, it was the first time that she did not live with her parents in her entire life.
Yeah.
Because there was like she and her husband and their kid, and her brother and his wife and their kids, and their parents all lived together, and some
Yeah,
grandparents lived with them, and that was
yeah,
normal. She
yes.
said it was so weird to come over here and kids turn 18 years old. Well, I'm legal now. I'm going to move out and get my own place.
Yeah.
She's like, that was just so weird about the American culture that
Look,
it's so
if if
important to them.
if I'm coming home, let's say, and my wife gives me a call, let's just say if I was living in the West, my wife would give me a call and say, "Listen, I'm not feeling well today. Can you pick up something for me and the kids to eat?" You drive over to McDonald's or whatever restaurant, pick something up and go home. That's not what we do. If my wife called, she wouldn't call me. She'd call my sister or my cousin or my aunt, or she'd call somebody, and the food would come, and someone would come and take the kids. If I don't have time to teach the kids or help them with their homework, I've got 20 people that I can call that will come do that. Listen, it's just for me, it's not for every, but to me, that strong back, it makes it easier that you're not always worried about what if something happens to me. Well, who cares? They've got their aunts, their uncles, their cousins. You know what I mean? The burden's not all on me. And if I'm going through something, I have a cousin or an uncle. I've got uncles that are my age. I've got cousins that are my age. I've got nephews that are my age. I mean, just to show you how big and difference we are age-wise.
Right.
But there's always someone that you can talk to, and these people don't want anything from you. You know what I mean?
Right.
So you could get family advice from this person and that person. Well, that person's religious. Don't go near him. Oh, he smokes, so I can go talk to him if I want to smoke with. Oh, he drinks, so I can go. It's just an amazing thing to have all these different, and then people that are honest with you and want what's best for you. Yeah. Whereas you send a kid to a psychologist or a psychiatrist, and they come home thinking, oh, the doctor said that, when I was 4, my dad did, and they start creating these things in these kids' heads and and then these kids end up on Prozac and Xanax and what are we doing? Families wouldn't do it. Grandmama ain't gonna do that. Papa ain't gonna let you do that. He'll whoop you into. So it's yes, it becomes a hindrance. Look, I'm 48 years old, and it's still out of respect. I will call my mom in the U.S. and tell her when I'm traveling anywhere, just out of respect, Mom. I'm going to be going for a job. I'm going just out of respect. But at the same time, the reason why I'm really doing it, she prays for me.
Right.
You know what I mean? Ain't nothing better than a mother praying for you. That's what I'm doing. She prays for me. What's bad about that? When we used to come home in the States, my mom would stay up all night. And when we come home, she'd always, I want to talk to you. I want to talk to you when you came home. And I never figured out what the reason was, why she was always trying to talk to us coming home at night. And I didn't figure out until I had my own kids. And then I called her and I said, you were checking to see if we had drank anything, weren't you? She said, yeah. That's why I also wouldn't let the maid clean your clothes, because I knew when you smoked, when you did this, when you did that. So they're just, it's an amazing family feeling. It's not for everybody. I mean, I've got my own little siblings that tell my mom, hey, I'm old enough now. It's none of your business. It's just, for me, it's an amazing.
Right. Anissa, you say I do have that worry with twin 14-year-olds. If my husband and I died, no idea who would take care of them. Your 30-year-old kid, your 30-year-old kids could. Tell them that's their responsibility. And up here, Cyber Curtain says, he said, I pay thousands in hospitalization insurance since I was 21 and never spent a single bloody dime a night in the hospital. Yeah, but insurance is insurance. we got the bills on my little 24-hour stay in the hospital, having those 2 stents put in, and it was $130,000. And we didn't pay maybe $5,000.
Look,
That's what
when-
insurance is for.
And this is send your kids to me. I've got a maid, and we'll take care of them.
I can only tell you from what I witnessed, having
Right.
lived in so many different Western countries. Yeah. In the U.S., if you're not wealthy or if you don't have health insurance, you could literally die sitting outside of a hospital.
Well, we're
Whereas
watch a
in
lot
the
of. Go ahead.
and the medicine in America is probably top notch in the world, right?
Right.
So, but it only has an effect on 10% of the population. 10% of the population in America is getting the best medicine in the world. Yes, no doubt. Whereas if you go to the UK, and I was in the UK, I actually broke my nose playing rugby and I ended up having to have surgery there. It was free. In the UK, for 90% of the population, that healthcare system works. Now, here in Saudi, it's a completely different thing. Here we have it where we have government hospitals. You have private hospitals where the government will also pay for you. And if, let's say, God forbid, you have a big disease or something and you wanted to go try out a hospital in Germany or in Mexico or something new, you could apply to the Ministry of Health here and you can get a grant and they will pay for that. We don't pay for healthcare here. The other thing that's amazing here that I don't understand why in the US it's not possible is all the medicines we have here are made in the USA, but they're 90% cheaper than America.
Because our
antibiotics here
politicians
won't cost you more than $2.
Our politicians are in the pockets of big pharma, so that's the reason why.
Yeah, but Tom, we made a deal with big pharma. We went to Pfizer and AstraZeneca and all these big companies, and we said, listen, we will only allow two companies to sell their products here, but you have to restrict the price to this. You guys want in, you'll get the full, the whole market is yours, but we're reducing it to this.
So, yeah, but a lot of people don't want. Well, it goes back to the fact that the government wants to be in everybody's business, but they don't want to take care of people's business. And this is a situation. Todrick.
Junk, you can get the grant within 48 hours,
Yes,
72
sir.
hours. If it's an emergency, they can do it within less than, basically, if you go in by 7 in the morning, you'll have the reply by 12 in the afternoon. And if they say no, then they have to give you the reason why no, and they have to put you in a top-notch hospital to start treating you until you can go and apply to the next. How do you say? You take it to a next stage to get it looked at again.
Right. Todd, I thought your fed up was going to be somebody on eBay canceled something or didn't want to pay for something or ask you stupid questions. I didn't know we were going in this direction because I was already ready. I had 3 things I sold over the weekend be canceled.
Oh no.
One of them was the woman said that she talked to her husband and that's not the part that she needed. So that's fine. The other one was she didn't like the color of the shirt. Okay, I can live with that. And the third one was she just didn't need it. Shouldn't have bought it. She didn't need it. So I said, all 3 of them I said open up a cancel. And the last one didn't, and I went in and canceled it myself. And I think that's maybe the way that people want to cancel stuff. Is because I just went in and said the seller or the buyer requested to cancel the order. I clicked it and it was done.
Yeah, you might as well. Yep.
It was a case where I didn't have to take a chance on something. It was not as ordered. Item is not as described. Which in the last one, it was a case I hadn't even shipped it yet. So anyway, like I said, I thought that.
No, Roman, if I become president, we're going to change the healthcare system where anyone can afford it on their own.
but there's no such thing as free health care, because even in like the UK and Canada and stuff, their free health care is paid for the income earners of the country.
People still die.
Wait, that's not Tom.
Yeah, that is the truth. Somebody
No,
has
no,
to
no.
somebody
I'm
has
not.
to make the
Of
money
course. No, no. But
to
let me
pay
explain.
for
Let
it.
me explain to you something different. Like I don't know about all countries. I can only speak for the countries that I've lived in. So in Saudi Arabia, the person that's paying for all this is the oil. In Norway, what's paying for all this is their oil. They're using their natural resources to pay for the people's stuff. The issue is in America, the government doesn't own the oil. You know who does? Private companies, just like the Fed.
The
That's the
people,
problem. You have all this natural resources that are being taken by one person or two. How is that possible? Spread that. Imagine if you took all the oil that's coming out of the US and paid for your healthcare and education systems. You're
but it's
done.
not going to work because our system is based on the free enterprise system, and the people that own the dirt own the oil under the dirt. Unless they've sold the rights away to somebody, that it's their property. It's not the government's property.
But isn't that only in Texas and in a few of the states where other states know that the government owns the ground? So it just depends on where you are.
No,
I could tell right now we could get in my car and I could take you to 3 pieces of property in South Carolina that we know there's oil under because they drill test oil rigs there, and they found oil there, lots of oil. The people are just sitting on it because they can. It's their property. They can sit on it. North
Well,
Carolina
and
has oil wells.
yeah,
Pennsylvania has.
I guess that's where it's different because in the rest in other parts of the world, if you find oil or if you find that becomes it goes, they pay you for your land and they pay you as an investor in it and they give you a small percentage in it. But at the end, it's that money goes to the government coffers. And then that coffer is then being used for different projects or whatever it is that you're working on.
That's not
But
the way
I
it
mean,
works here.
if you look at Norway, which is the best example that I can give you right now, if anybody wants to look at a Western country that's actually done very well and been successful over the last 30 years, Norway is a great example because not just because that they've become rich and they've become one of the powerhouses when it comes to energy, but they've actually invested almost 80% of that wealth into future products, into innovation. The future is all about innovations.
Yeah, but the thing about it is, though, when you start looking at other things, like Norway has a 22% flat tax.
Yes, sir.
On everybody.
Correct, sir.
Everybody.
Correct.
If we started charging our poor people 22% income tax,
yes,
they
sir.
would burn the Capitol down.
Wait, hold on. You charge more than 22% right now for the poor people, but you don't charge 7% for the rich. How's that fair?
7% of $100 million is a lot more than 22% of 15,000.
Yeah, but it's not fair.
Life is tough.
Well, I think we should all be paying equal taxes. We get equal benefits.
Then everybody charge a flat 10% income tax. Flat
That's what
10%.
it. No.
Flat,
I got a better one for you.
10%. That means that if you make, and
it's
then
not on.
we can
Don't
get
make
rid
it
of
on
the
income.
IRS. We can get rid of the IRS because we won't need them.
Don't put it on income. Put a flat VAT tax. Anytime you buy anything, you pay 10% or 15%. That's the only tax we have. That's it.
That would be fine because we don't spend money. We don't spend $20,000 on a damn watch. We don't spend $3,000 on a daggum.
Exactly. That would be fair
Louis
to all.
Vuitton purse.
Yes, sir. And that would be that would be fair to all.
I mean, that would be fine. Get rid of the income tax and go to a flat tax.
When a company like
value-added tax.
But when a company like Amazon pays 0 taxes in the UK, 0, because they set up shop in Ireland, they pay 0.
Well, that's because of the government. The people that The people that are making the decisions allow it. But, you know, like I said, charge a value added tax to everything, a federal
Yes,
value
sir.
added tax, and let it ride. Because
I
then
agree.
people will find out that those Louis Vuitton purses that are costing them now extra $300, $400, $500 a pop just because of the value added tax. And I'm not talking about on food and pharmacies type stuff.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah.
I'm talking
Oh
about
no, no, no.
anything other
You
than
can
food.
exclude. No, no. We have. There's in this country. There's exclusion. You don't pay taxes on medical, hospital, food. You know, you don't pay a 15% value tax on a house. Yeah, that doesn't happen. It's 5%.
Because people will learn that those daggum Nikes that are $500 are not that important when you're spending another $100.
They were 500 in the 80s. They're more like 5,000 now.
I don't know. I
The-
don't spend that kind of money on shoes or clothes.
I had my son come the other day and ask me for $600 Adidas. I started laughing.
Did you tell him to go get a job?
No, I told him to go get me one first. I said, go tell your mom to get me one first, then I'll get you one.
But people, you know, like Norway's got the 22% tax on everybody.
Yeah.
That's a lot. Our government, not our government, our population would not stand for it.
There are countries in Europe that pay even higher, up to 45 and 55% tax, like Denmark.
Yeah.
And they're supposed to be the happiest people on earth, according to their surveys, not mine.
Oh, you know, they need to know what they need to do is they need to see how many people in these countries are trying to get into the United States.
No, but Tom, see,
We're
that's
the
the thing.
shithole of the world. Nobody likes us anymore. But you know, we've got 40,000 people trying to, you know, in the green card lottery.
But
Tom,
Tom,
from all over the world.
But Tom, what I'm trying to say to you is like, look, I spoke to someone from Denmark, you know, and I was asking her, how could you be the happiest people on earth and you're paying 40 or 55% in taxes? And her simple reply was, I don't pay for my kids' university. I don't pay for this. I don't pay for that. When I have a child, they give me money. I get 3 months off. They pay for the room. Her husband recently had a stroke. Yeah. The government came into the house and rebuilt the house for her. They gave her a bathroom and they gave her a car and they paid for her children's, you know, university. They're paying for everything for it. So in a way, at the end, listen, I don't care how much you take, or you could take 100%, or not 100, but you could take 90%, or you can take 5%. It's how much am I saving? Yeah.
Well, think about
I don't care how much you
take.
take. I don't care how much you take. As long as am I able to save 3,000-4,000 by the end of the month? If I can do that, I don't care what you take. I think that's what's more important.
Well, I'm a very different opinion on that, because if I don't have children, I don't care that they're, you know, I don't care about you sending your kids to university.
Yeah.
But it goes back to the fact they are paying for it. They are paying 40% of their income tax into the government. They are paying for it. Now they might be stretching it out, you know, like college and stuff like that, but they're still paying for it. Anytime
they are.
You're paying taxes, you're paying for it.
Correct.
And that's one of the things that our country has failed to get into their head is every person that's listening to this show, every person in this country that has a job and is paying income tax is paying for this country to operate. They are the income streams for this government. It's not just coming out of the air. Our government has no income other than what's produced by taxpayers. Now, going back to what you were talking about, the oil, you know, being confiscated by the government and whatnot, they're
not just the oil, natural resources.
Yeah, they're generating money, but they're also taking away from people.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, if, like I said, if we went to the Norway or Denmark, where it was the 22%, they would be burning the cities down around here. Even the people that are millionaires would still be picketing for it because of the downtrodden and the poor and whatnot.
This was resale.
Listen, Tom, I just want you to check. I think, if I'm not mistaken, France wanted to charge 60 or 70%
Yeah.
tax,
Yeah.
and the
And they're-
rich started moving to Russia.
Custom-
Yeah.
Like that, the actor John Purdue or whatever, he became Russian because of it,
This is-
if you remember.
selling show. We talk about resale.
So anyway, we have hijacked Todd's show. Todd, is there any
No, that's-
reselling that you'd like to talk about?
I don't know. I just want to gripe about that Fed now thing.
Yeah, it's your fault.
Basically,
Mhm.
Roberta said it
And,
was your fault.
Can we do a
Yeah.
quick auction since it's a seller thing? Can we sell something real quick?
no, we're fixing to shut it down. You can on Tom's show tomorrow morning. So, yeah, he's gonna show a watch.
Felix, what are you? Cole, why are you trying to drink my coffee? Felix, are you in New York for a watch show?
No,
Oh,
I
you-
was just teasing because Trump is going to get indicted tomorrow. I was teasing junk.
Let's not even mention that. Let's just not even go there.
So, yeah. Problem with Denmark and Norway. What happens when the rich people's money run out?
They have their they have their natural resources. I just told you. The oil is for the government. They generate 80-90% of the government's money comes from oil. And the oil is for the government. It's not for anybody.
But see, that's another problem is with all the electric cars that's coming online, we're not going to need oil.
Yeah, and that's
and
that's why new countries like Kenya and others are becoming hotspots because of the lithium that they have, right?
Right.
Nah.
Yeah.
I mean,
History repeats itself. One day you're rich, the next day you're poor.
Yeah, I don't.
No one knows
I don't-
what's under the ground that God's going to bless us with, right? Or what we need in the future.
Yeah.
I don't see how the 21
But Tom,
people
I go back to what I was
watching
trying.
now is
But I'll
gonna
go back to what I was
translate.
trying to tell you. Sorry, I was just go back to what I was trying to say earlier. Is that we have one of the problems that I see in the West is that they're too set in their way. If there's an economic problem and you see that there's opportunity somewhere else, why not go somewhere else?
Because our culture is so set in its way over here that if you start confiscating oil rights and natural resource rights from people, it's going to cause a major problem. And the politicians don't want to deal with it. So I mean that's the biggest thing is that we're set on our ways. People around the world laugh at about. I was watching a show and it was talking about there was a black guy, and he's English, always lived in the UK, and he was talking about I am not. He says I am not a UK an African UK citizen. He says I'm a UK citizen, and he was laughing about the Americans, the African Americans and the Spanish Americans and the Mexican Americans and. I identify as a German American, so there. But it's a case where the world is laughing at us about this bullshit that we have going on over here.
It's not.
And
I don't think it's bullshit. That's the whole beauty of America. It's a melting pot.
Yeah, that's just the way.
Where the British, you wouldn't say you're an African because you'd be pointed out and become racist. But in America, that was the beauty of America. America is a melting pot.
Yeah.
You have so many different cultures, so many different religions, so many different everything. Look, when I grew up in the 80s and 90s, I never knew what the next person's religion. We didn't ask those questions. Even color, when people tell me racism, guys, I lived in America for 18 years. I've never seen racism once.
Yeah,
once.
I agree with you on that because the girl sat beside me in math class from 7th grade to I graduated from high school.
Yeah.
I did not know she was Jewish.
Yeah.
Never knew it.
Never knew it. Never asked.
Yeah,
never cared.
We never talked about religion.
Nope. All we cared about was how much money did you have on Friday? You got $5? Did you get $10? You got 20? How many beasts are you buying today? How many cases of the beast?
Well,
and whose house are we going? And whose house are we going to?
We didn't drink
know,
in high school, or I didn't drink in high school, so I wouldn't
I
worry
didn't
about
look.
that.
I didn't drink either, but I was all my friends drank, and they all played, instruments and stuff, and they felt bad for me, so they gave me a little triangle thing, so I just go ding, ding, and I followed the Grateful Dead and became a Deadhead, and I followed Santana, and it was amazing. You're hanging out with, African Americans, hanging out with this, and because I was able to mix with it was just an amazing thing,
Well,
and
see,
no
that's
one
just
really
it.
cared.
I was in high school right after the great segregation or desegregation. I had all kinds of black friends. I didn't know I was supposed to hate them. I mean, that was just the way it was, and that's just the mindset. Everybody thinks that white people hate black people. I don't think so. I never thought
No,
that because they were my
I
friends.
never saw it.
We hung out together. We were in the band together. We did stuff
Yes,
after
sir.
football games together. It's
Yes,
just the
sir.
way it was.
Yep.
Todd, I got to get out of here.
Yeah, it's time. Thank
Anything
you, everybody.
Todd, we'll give you the final word on anything.
I got nothing. See y'all tomorrow on Tobin's channel.
Bye.
Bye.
Thanks, Felix.
Thank you, guys.
Bye, everybody in the